Hello everybody and welcome to The Happiness Show, which is a show all about happiness, passion and purpose. And I'm very privileged today to welcome the wonderful Thembe Khumalo. Welcome Thembe.
Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you so much for being here. Great, well I'm so excited to have you on the show because you're such an interesting, passionate, happy person. So really excited.
Well, thank you.
So Thembe is an African woman leader. Very amazing, powerful woman, and I've heard her speak a couple of times before, and she really inspired me, so I knew I had to have her on the show to inspire all of you. So Thembe has her own training and consulting company which helps corporates and individuals build their brands, and she also has her own mission-driven business called Labor of Love, which is all about helping women artisans create meaning in their lives through helping them market their products so that they can earn more money and build better lives.
Correct.
How did you get to where you are now? And how did you take that journey from getting to having your own training consulting business and this beautiful Labor of Love business?
I think the journey started before I was born.
Amazing.
It started with my grandmother and probably her mother before her, and all of the things that she taught my mother and that my mother then taught me. My mother taught me to sew, she taught me to crochet, to knit, to bake, to cook, to grow beautiful and healthy things in the garden, and so on. And I longed to pass that knowledge on. I remember watching my grandmother twisting sisal on her thigh and making baskets and what we call amatansi in Ndebele, which are reed mats, but beautifully done. She had the most amazing workmanship. And my mother in turn did amazing embroidery, like you would not believe it was done by hand. And as I grew older as an adult, I realized that a lot of these skills were going to get lost. I can no longer take my girls into the garden and show them which grasses make the best bracelets, the way my grandmother taught me, you know, and some people don't have use for embroidery or other skills like that. But I did find that there were women elsewhere, and I recognized that they're everywhere in Africa, who had these skills, and that if we could show them what to make, if we could show them products that were trendy and
so
useful,
they could sell them,
right, exactly, and that's what Labor of Love does. It identifies women with skills, it gives them design ideas if they need it, and then it markets those products. And so if you think about it at its core, it's a marketing business. And then when women are earning their own income, they can make decisions about what goes on in their families. They can contribute to their communities, and hopefully we can build a better Africa for all of us.
That's such a great mission to have through doing something that you love, through something that's important to you, empowering others to impact the greater world.
Right.
Really cool, and I love how you, like you said, it's from before you were born, and you've taken those lessons and those learnings and those traits from your ancestors, from your grandmother, through your mom and to you.
And I part of what drives me in this business is the desire to pay tribute to everything that they have taught me and that the gifts that they've given me.
Well, I think that's a beautiful way to do it, and I think if we could all learn how to do what you're doing with what we've learned from our grandparents, can you imagine how much more passion would be?
And richer. The world would be so much richer.
Absolutely. So can you sew and can you embroider?
Yes, I do.
Brilliant. What a great skill to have. I wish my grandmother had. She could do that, but she never taught me actually.
You can bring me all your stuff that needs mending.
Thank you. Okay, great. So definitely a passion-fueled business there, Labor of Love. So what is your vision for Labor of Love? Where do you see it going?
I'm a little bit scared, you know, because the vision is bigger than than I can see how to achieve. But I'm looking at 1 million women artisans in 5 years.
Wow. That's an incredible mission.
If we
1 million artisans in 5 years.
If we can support and touch the lives of 1 million African women artisans in 5 years, then I can say my work on earth is done.
I think that'll be definitely a good tick in the box, right?
Yes.
So how will you feel when you accomplish that?
I think I will sit down and be very quiet.
Yeah. Take some time out and rest.
Yes. And then I will call my daughters and say to them, this is your legacy, and carry on.
Well, that's such a wonderful gift that then you're passing on to your kids, and that you have taken from your grandmother and mother.
Exactly.
Very, very special.
Exactly. True.
And the more that you share that mission and that vision with everybody else, you will inspire them also to come on board and help.
I hope so. I mean, I look at, if you know the story of David and Goliath in the Bible, before David faced Goliath, he had first slain a bear and a lion. And I always think in life, the things that you've done in the past help to fuel you to face the next big, scary goal.
Absolutely.
And so when I started out as somebody who wasn't good at sport at all, and then found that I could run 2 kilometers if I ran slowly, that was like a lightning bulb, a light bulb moment for me. And at that point is when I enabled myself to run a marathon and another marathon and another marathon and eventually run the Comrades. And I feel very much like it was preparation in a way for Labor of Love, because to look at how small we are now and how big we want to grow is exactly the template of not being able to run at all to then running the toughest race in Africa.
World.
Yeah.
In the world, yeah.
Yeah.
That's an accomplishment in itself, and what a great blueprint to follow for your business.
Right, and I like blueprints because I think your own personal history is so motivating. Because you know, I am that girl that was able to do X and Y. Therefore, why can't I do the next thing and the next thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I call that the confidence compound effect. Because it's when, like you say, when you're in a position of not being able to do something, and then you take the first step, grows your confidence.
Yes.
Then you take the next step, grows your confidence.
Yes. I call it the confidence muscle.
Oh, brilliant! Well,
because
thing,
you know,
the
the more you exercise that muscle, the stronger it gets, and then you can lift even heavier weights and heavier weights. Yeah.
So how would you say to someone to exercise their confidence muscle? How do they do that?
You have to change your mind at some point about something. So at the point at which I changed my mind about being a girl who couldn't do any sport is when I was then able to start using the muscle.
Brilliant. So you changed your mindset.
Yeah.
You let go of
that
beliefs.
Story, that history, and that song in my head that says you can't do sport, you can't run, you'll never run.
So how did you do that? How did you let go of that story?
You know, I think those triggers are something I would like to study.
Absolutely.
Because I don't know. I know that at a certain point in life, usually there's a confluence of things. Age, timing, circumstance, a particular set of words said by someone somewhere.
Those aha moments.
Right, and everything meets. And the timing is just right, and the thing goes click.
And even if you don't realize it,
consciously,
subconsciously something happens.
Right. And I think all of those moments in life are always a combination of different things, and timing is one of them. Yeah.
Okay, incredible. So basically for people to pay attention to what is happening in their lives, whether it's a moment in time, something changing, someone said something, feel something, and to pay attention to those triggers and what's happening to see if something's been changed.
Yeah, and also to just, I'm a big believer in introspection. I think time spent alone in reflection is very, very valuable, and the things that come out of there are usually useful things. I
totally agree. And I can so relate to that because, like you said, I said, how did that happen? And you said, I don't know, I need to figure it out. And that's the same with me. I had lots of limiting beliefs, and I don't know how I changed them. I don't know the moment that they changed, but I know I changed them.
Yeah.
But it's a combination of things.
Yeah.
So introspection, very, very good point there. Take
Yeah.
some time out for yourself to figure.
I believe that if we did engage in more introspection, even as a nation, we would be writing a different history right now. Yeah.
So how do you engage in introspection?
I am very cruel. When I come home at the end of the day, I want to be left alone. I'm quite a sociable person. I spend a lot of time talking. I make friends very easily. I engage deeply. So when I come home and it's the end of the day, I want to be left alone for an hour.
Brilliant.
And after that hour, I'm happy to help you with your homework, sew a button on your shirt, make you something to eat or whatever it is, to start giving again. But I need that space for myself, for replenishment.
Yeah, replenishment,
Exactly.
recharging.
Exactly. Yeah. And I also encourage executives, even in the course of a day, to book an hour in your calendar somewhere, an hour a week, just for reflection and planning. And to treat it like an appointment with a very important person.
That can't be missed.
Because you are a very important person to yourself and to the people that rely on you. And if you had an appointment with a very important person, you would make sure that you were there, that your phone was off, that your laptop was closed,
that you were present.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, very good point there. So take some time for introspection and book that appointment with yourself.
Yeah, once a week.
Your important self.
Yes. Your VIP moment in your diary.
I like that VIP moment.
Yeah.
Great. So amazing journey that you've been on with Labor of Love, how you take all those learnings and those lessons from your grandmother and your mother, and you are creating that in the world, and you're going to pass that on. And I love your mission, by the way. Very, very exciting.
Thank you.
So that is your mission-driven business. And then you've got obviously Thembe, Khumalo, training and consulting business.
Right.
So tell me a little bit more about that and how you got to start that business. Because I know you've had many different journeys and paths in other areas.
Yeah, I mean, you say that, but essentially it's been the same thing. Over the last 20 years, I've worked in media, I've worked in communication, I've done customer care training. And what I realized is that I am a storyteller. Whether it's writing or television or advertising or brand building, all we're doing is telling stories.
And great strength to have. Yeah.
And what we do as brand consultants or brand strategists is we help a client to tell their story in a compelling way that's going to help them either persuade their customers to buy or persuade their audiences to act or to sign up or somehow get this action going. That is the reason we're communicating.
Wow, what an incredible way to go about things. And I think it's so much more powerful starting from the stories, starting from why, and then selling the features after that. But it's like, it's the passion and the why.
And I think that's the only way you're going to get authentic communication. Because if you're trying to bamboozle people with just
the facts and the figures and the features.
Right. It's a lot more difficult to get that buy-in. But when you tell the authentic story of a product or a company or an individual,
and feel something.
Right.
I actually read somewhere that people buy with their right side of the brain, their emotional side of the brain.
Correct.
So if you're telling a story about the brand or the person or whatever it is, they're so much more able to relate that emotional side. Is that right? Yeah.
Right. But also the expertise then is to match the story to the business goal, to the audience.
Absolutely.
Because you don't tell the story the same way if you're speaking to school children as you would if you're speaking to business executives.
Good. Well, I love that. It's a very different way of consulting and doing business, because I think a lot of traditional ways is, what are your goals, what do you want, and what's the budget, and we'll get you there, right? Instead of asking, like, let me tell you a story.
Yeah. I think the way the world is changing, if you look at the different psychographics of the various generations, you know, you've got your baby boomers and your generation X and your generation Y and then the millennials, the ways in which they are evolving as markets is very interesting to watch. And the millennials are very much about authenticity. And so if we have to market to the next generation, to the new group of people that have got spending power, we need to understand what really, right, what they're about and what matters to them, instead of just marketing demographically.
Without any clarity in mind as to what you're doing.
Yeah.
So Thembe, how do you tell your story? How do you get people to work with you? Because if you're the expert storyteller, how do you tell yours?
In many different ways. A lot of it is equity that my brand has built over the years, in all of the years that I've been telling stories, and the type of stories that I've chosen to tell. When I worked as a columnist, I wrote 900 words every week for 3 years, and I could write about anything. But I suppose the things that I chose to write about, the things that I noted and noticed, and the things that mattered to me enough to write about, were the things that were true to my brand. And that is what the clients that choose to use me are looking for.
They know your message, and they know your...
Right. And that's the approach they're looking for. And I think brand building also is understanding that there's no product that is for everyone. So I'm not expecting everyone to use me.
Of course, everyone's different and likes different things.
Right. And so the product will appeal to the audience for which it is designed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So how would you suggest to someone like me, for example, I'm a solopreneur, with my happiness business, how would you suggest that I grow my brand by telling my story?
I think that would be a very exciting project, and I'm
that's going to be
excited to sign you up.
$500 an hour.
I think you have to start by being happy, which you clearly are.
Like in a nutshell, like would you say 3 steps?
One step is journaling.
Okay.
I think if you journal daily, it causes you to reflect on your day and yourself.
I'm going to do that because I'm not doing that currently. Journaling. Yeah.
And also when you look back on your journal, you understand what's important to you. It's a very good way of, because you're not going to write every single thing that happened from 6 a.m. when you opened your eyes. Exactly. Exactly. And to journal not about activity, but about feeling, thoughts and feelings. Because that's who you are. That's the real stuff of life, the stuff of you. And so just by journaling already, it's going to make a change somewhere in your brain. I would also say then, making some decisions about what needs to change, that change your mind moment. Inviting that change of mind moment to come.
From things like introspection and journaling and meditation.
I think sometimes we're afraid to spend time alone. We're afraid to be intimate with ourselves, because what intimacy does is it goes, come and see into me. And we're scared of what we'll find.
Definitely.
Like a big empty space. So that, and when you have emotional intimacy with another person, you're saying, Tammy, I'm inviting you to see into me. And so you have now all of those issues of trust and
absolutely.
So on.
It's a big thing.
Yes, it is.
And it's powerful, right?
And when you do it to yourself, you have to trust yourself. You have to trust yourself with whatever you're going to find there. You have to treat yourself and be kind to yourself. So I would say that's one of the key things, particularly for women. I find that I have
that value and that kind.
Women clients often aren't kind to themselves, that they don't treat themselves with compassion.
That's a beautiful point.
Yeah, and yet they're so deserving.
Yeah. I tell this to also my clients all the time. Do you celebrate what you've done, what you've accomplished in the day, no matter how big or small?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh no, you don't celebrate. And it's like, this is the most important part, and it's the compassion and the kindness.
One of my tools is a kind of the antithesis to the to-do list, is the done list.
Oh, brilliant.
At the end of the day, before you look at your to-do list and see what you've accomplished, make a list of what you've done. Because maybe you've done so many things that weren't on the to-do list, but that are important. And it's also helping you to figure out, okay, this is how I spend my time. Therefore, when I do my to-do list for tomorrow, I must take into account these things that I am doing, but not recognizing, not giving recognition to.
Because we're all so busy, right? And at the end of the day, we're all like, oh my gosh, I didn't get through half of it.
Yes, and I didn't drop off the dry cleaning.
Yeah, instead of saying, I did this.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So 3 awesome tips there for storytelling for your own self, which is journaling. And then you mentioned knowing what you need to change.
Right, making the choice.
Making the choice to change. And then lastly, being compassionate to yourself, being kind. Wonderful. Well, 3 nuggets of wisdom already for me. So, Thembe, you are a very passionate person, like you've said, with your labor of love and then with your storytelling. So what would you say that your true passion is in your life?
Wow. I don't know if I could just stick to one.
Well, we can have multiple.
True passion.
We can have multiple.
I will tell you this. Many years back, there's a man called John Stanko who used to come to Zimbabwe regularly and run a product he called Purpose Quest. So I did my Purpose Quest, and we talked a little bit about what I wanted to do with my life. This was before Labor of Love was born. And I kept mentioning Martha Stewart, and I kept saying, I want to use these homemaking skills, but to use them in a way that builds business, like Martha Stewart. And just a few days ago, when I thought about it, I thought, well, actually, getting women artisans and marketing their products and putting it in people's homes and hands and wardrobes is very much what I love to do. I love to take those homemaking skills and use them in business, in building a real business. And I think particularly, I noticed that all of the things that I have done in my career, the jobs that I've had, each of them somehow contributes to what I'm doing now in a very specific way. For instance, I am running a distribution division for a newspaper publisher. When I think about it now, the skills I learned about transportation network in a country like Zimbabwe are coming in very useful when I'm dealing with how we're going to get baskets from Binga to a customer in Gaborone,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's taking that time, that reflection, and saying, what have I learned, and all this value that I've gained from all these jobs and these positions that I've been in.
And joining all of those dots together and it making a story that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and sometimes even if a dot is out of place, some years later when you look again, you see exactly the connection.
Where it fits. Yeah. Okay, so wonderful passion there. But Thembe, what about your purpose? So why, I guess it's probably very much related to your passion, and you mentioned your purpose for Labor of Love. But what about for your life? What is your ultimate life purpose?
To help African women see themselves more clearly.
Wow, so lovely. Help African women see themselves more clearly.
Yeah, and see what an amazing resource they are and what amazing resources they have, and to enjoy and celebrate and use that to build good lives in which African men, women and children can live in harmony and prosperity.
Oh wow, I'm sure that gets you out of bed in the morning, right?
Sometimes it scares me so much, I just want to stay where I am.
Yeah, well that's good, both to drive you and to scare you.
Yes.
Great, so how would you suggest that somebody else finds their purpose? So that's a very profound purpose, and it's something that means something to you, and something that makes a difference in the world. So how would you, what would you say to somebody who's lacking this value and meaning in their life and they want a purpose, but they just don't know where to start?
I think in part there's an issue of articulation. So sometimes you know a thing, but you haven't got the language to articulate it.
Or you haven't tried.
Right. So I think in part is to forgive yourself, and so you release some of the pressure.
Yes.
Because life is so full of pressure.
Yes.
And not to feel like you have to say certain words to tick the boxes of correction, and to express it in the language in which it's most comfortable.
Yeah.
Whether that is literal language as in Ndebele, Zulu, English, or language as in words, pictures, music, dress. And if you listen to what you are telling yourself and telling the world, it will be there. It will be there.
I think that's so wonderful, because I think a lot of people are so afraid to say the wrong thing, or it's the wrong purpose, or it's not the right thing, but you just have to take that leap of faith and say, let me just see what comes up and put it on paper, or express it in a way that I feel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And maybe you express it in the meals that you make for your family, and the time and the trouble, and going to shop in the right markets, and finding organic, homegrown ingredients and so on. And you do this over and over again, but you keep saying, well, I haven't found my purpose. I don't know what my purpose is. But
you're making a difference.
This is telling you something. And just to examine all of those expressions of love, expressions of interest that we make every day, without calling them my purpose statement.
Exactly, yeah, putting that up on the wall.
Yeah.
I love that. It's because I think so many of us forget to look at what we're doing every day in our everyday lives, and we just think, another day in our life, but actually there's so much to take from it and to realize from it, isn't there?
It's like children. I mean, sometimes a child will go, oh, but I'm not good at this. And you go, huh? Have you seen yourself?
Yeah.
Have you been watching yourself dancing every evening, every time a song plays? How can you think you're not good at such and such?
And it's to take that and put it on ourselves.
Yes,
right?
exactly. Exactly. Because I think we get caught up in right ways and wrong ways of expressing, and a very classroom kind of way of thinking, which we can blame on our education system.
But we have the power to change it.
Exactly, exactly. And to give ourselves permission to express in different ways that are authentic to self.
Oh, I love that. Really profound passion and profound purpose there, and lots of wisdom for other people to go and look at how to find theirs. So thank you for sharing that.
So.
Yes, definitely. I know I have, and I'm going to try those 3 steps that you gave me earlier, and I'm definitely going to pay more attention to my everyday actions and my everyday expressions.
Yes.
Because while I have a big definite purpose, but sometimes I forget to, like you say, what am I doing each day, and
that
how
gives
is
you
that,
joy.
That gives me joy and purpose in my life. So really, really profound message there. So Thembe, what makes you happy? So you have so much that you stand for, and how do you keep that all going? How do you maintain this happiness in your life that you have?
I have a couple of things. I write a lot, I journal, but I have some rules, if you like, that I've made for myself. For instance, When it comes to relationship, I have my 3 R's.
Great.
Relaxed, rewarding, respectful.
Brilliant.
So for me to engage in a relationship with a person, an organization, a client, a company, I have to feel that that relationship is going to be relaxed, rewarding, respectful.
I love that. What a great rule.
So if we can't engage in a way that is respectful, then I'm going to have to say no thank you.
Because that leads to unhappiness, right?
Right. If I can't be relaxed around you, if we can't work together in a way, sometimes you find, the person signing the checks wants to have this leverage and you must be on your toes and be uncomfortable. I feel like, I was going to say I'm too old.
That's a limiting belief. Yeah.
I don't want to work in that way.
You've made a decision. And
right. I want to be able to choose the work that I do, and working in a relaxed relationship with whoever I'm working with is important. And the same with friends, and the same with church or any relationship I enter into. Relaxed, rewarding, and respectful.
Oh, really profound rule there. I think I'm going to have to steal that rule for myself as well.
You're welcome to have it.
So journaling and having that rule, what else makes you happy? What else brings you joy?
Spending time with people I love. My children are a great joy to me. They stretch me constantly. Very simple pleasures. Lunch in the garden with friends. A phone call in the evening with someone I love. Time spent with my mom. Really, really simple things. I like to bake. If I can't sleep in the night, sometimes I'll bake something.
Wow, that's a good idea. Oh my gosh, so many people watch TV and they're like, what about
Which
baking?
actually doesn't help you.
No. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Baking.
Yeah. And I run.
Good.
I love to run. I find it very relaxing.
Very therapeutic, hey?
Yes. And when I come back from my run, my body is zinging with endorphins and new ideas.
Ready to take on the day.
Exactly. Yeah. So those are my main things.
So lovely happiness tips there, Thembe. Thank you for sharing those.
Well, thank you for having me and for giving me the opportunity to talk to you today.
No, it's been so interesting, and I'm definitely going to take lots of nuggets of wisdom from you and try them out for myself, especially the journaling, because while I meditate and while I spend a lot of time working on my mind, I don't actually journal, so I think I need more introspection time in this. I'll take that lovely
Let me know how it goes.
nugget of wisdom, and I'm sure everybody else watching has taken some profound lessons from your passion and how you found your purpose and your happiness. So thank you for being open and sharing that with us today.
What a pleasure. What a pleasure.
So Thembe, if people would like to get hold of you for Labor of Love or for your consulting and branding business, how can they get hold of you?
Labor of Love has a website. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter.
Amazing.
Yeah, so any of those platforms. And similarly, Thembe Khumalo Training and Consulting. We have a blog, thembekhumalo.com, and I'm on Twitter and Facebook.
Okay, great. Fantastic. Well, I'm sure you'll have people reaching out to you to connect with you and learn more from you.
I look forward to it.
Great. Well, thank you once again for being on the show, and hope to have you on the show again in the future when I'm like Oprah and you are at 5 million women, right?
Yes.
So big things to come.
Indeed. I look forward to that.
Great. Well, thank you everybody for watching The Happiness Show, which is all about passion, purpose, and happiness. So I hope you've taken some value from today's show, taken some happiness tips and some passion and purpose, and you can apply that to your own lives. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next week. Bye.